Now, we want to ensure that the workflow only runs when necessary. So what this means is that we do not want to send a contact to this workflow every time they sends a reply, right? We want to filter them out based on certain conditions. So what are the conditions that we want to put? So make sure that you click on filter. The first condition that we want to enforce is we want to check whether the contact last notified date is empty, right? If it is empty, we will allow this contact to enter this workflow. Okay? Now, the second condition that we want to check is, add a condition. I would like to check if the last notified date is at least 24 hours ago, right? So how do I check this? So once I've chosen a last notified date, for the operators, I'll need to change it to time difference comparison. Once I've selected time difference comparison, you can see that over here there are two options. I can either choose now or I'll choose select date and time, basically a specific date and time. But in our case, what we like to do is to compare the time now minus the last notified date, right? So what does it mean by now? So this keyword now, it will be replaced with the date and time when this workflow executes. So for example, let's say that the contact sends you a message on, I don't know, let's say 26 January 2025, 3 p.m. This now value, it will be changed to that date and time. All right. So this is how we tell the machine that, hey, for this particular value, make sure that you use the time when the workflow runs. Okay. So for the time now minus the last notified date. If the time now minus the last notified date is more than 24 hours, we will allow this contact to enter this workflow. Basically, this is what it means. Right? So another common mistakes that I see is most people, they would use and, right? In this particular case, you will have to use or. So what this means is that as long as any of this condition is true, we will allow the contact to enter this workflow. So for example, right? For example, if we are talking about a new contact who have not talked to you before, and they reach out to you outside of your operating hours for the first time, because this is a new contact, the last notified date is definitely going to be empty, right? So in this case, when they send you a message outside of your regular operating hours, this condition will evaluate to true, and hence this contact can enter this workflow, right? So that's the first scenario. Now, for the second scenario, this contact has reached out to you before in the past. It's actually not a new contact. It is a contact that has been around for, let's say, a year. And the last time that the contact sends you a message outside of your operating hours, let's say it was 15 minutes ago, right? 15 minutes ago. And then 15 minutes later, the contact sends you another message. So what happened is that this condition, the first one, it will evaluate to false. Contact last notified date is empty. This particular statement is false. Hence, the system will check the second statement to see whether it's true. Now, for this second statement is basically just to see how far the time has passed since the last notified date. So in this particular example, if let's say that the last notified date is only 15 minutes away, 15 minutes ago, this statement, it will evaluate to false. And hence, since the first statement is false and the second statement is false, this contact will not enter this workflow in this case. But if the last notified date is at least 24 hours away, then this second statement, it will be true. So this means that this contact can enter this workflow. So once we have set up these two filters, make sure to click Save. And as usual, once you have saved the filters, make sure to click Save for the entire workflow again. So that's how you configure the contact reply trigger to control whether the contact can enter the workflow or not based on the conditions that you have set.